And I'm gonna draw it on this whiteboard first, although it's kind of dirty. Hold on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you're gonna turn your paper. Are you on a canvas or paper?
A canvas.
You're on canvas. So you want to turn your canvas this way so you have more creativity space, more paint space. So go ahead and turn it. We call that the landscape layout. And we are going to draw a line straight across.
We need a pencil.
I prefer you to use a pencil up front. I'm going to be using a marker so you guys can see. But you're going to draw a horizontal line across your paper, not right across the middle, maybe a little bit lower than the middle section. So hold on, let me find a dry erase marker that works. And it doesn't have to be completely straight, but you basically want it to go straight across. All right.
In the middle?
It can be a little bit lower than the middle. So if you take a look at the original, I was working on a smaller pad. So you can see I'm lower than the middle. So however far down you go, that's how much sky you'll have. And then the rest will be water. So if you want your ducks to have more sky space, then bring your water down. Everybody mute for me. Bring your line down a little bit further. So I just need you to go ahead and figure out where you're going to put that line. Make sure that your canvas or paper, whatever you're working on, is turned horizontally. And you just want to draw a horizon line straight across. That horizon line separates the sky from the ground. All right. All right. Now what you're going to do, you're going to draw, and you're drawing with pencil, so you can erase if you need to. You're going to draw the letter S, and it's going to cross over your water. So you're drawing a big letter S. You're going to do the same exact thing, but on the other side. So you're drawing a backwards S. And they kind of touch. So those are that's the body for your swan. Everybody good? Thumbs up. You can come off mute if you need me to redo something or slow down. Claudia?
Just slow down.
All right, no problem. Let me know when you're ready. So LaShawn, what I was telling them was because we started about 10 minutes late, I'm probably not going to be able to stay on the whole time that you guys paint. But I do want to at least get the sketch out and get you started with the paint. Hopefully we can get through, but it kind of also depends on what size canvas you bought. If you bought like a 16 by 20, that's going to take a little bit longer than if you have an 8 by 10. Claudia.
Yes.
Stop overthinking. Right now, I just want 2 S's that touch because you're going to be able to fix that in a few minutes. I just want 2 S's that touch, that go down below your line. Don't sit those ducks right on top of that line. Ready? All right. Now, you're going to kind of mirror or copy that first S. See what I did? All I did was just came down here, copied it, and I connected it. You're going to do the same thing on both sides. Make sure you're using a pencil because you're going to need to erase in a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side so that you can see. And it's okay if one neck is a little bit thicker than the other one. We're not looking for you to be perfect, but to get kissing swans. Everybody still okay? Remember, you're still safe right now because you have a pencil, so you can erase later. And I am recording it so I can send it to you and you can go back and look at it later. All right. Let me know if you need me to wait. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next part. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a different color so you can see what I'm actually doing. Down on the bottom part of the S, we're going to draw the back side of the neck. Can you see that? I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm drawing the back side of the neck because right now it's too skinny. And I'm actually going to open this one up a little bit more because it's still a little bit too skinny. All right. So you're drawing where you see the blue marker. I'm going to move on unless someone tells me to wait. You ready, Claudia? All right, let me pin my screen, make sure I'm recording myself because Claudia was on the screen. All right, so you want to make sure that you can, you have the back of the neck also. Now we're going to move to the tail feathers. I'm going to stick with the blue. This time I'm going to go up in a diagonal on both sides. So we're starting to work on the tail feathers. Now yours, you should have a little bit more space. Mine is kind of, because I'm on a smaller board, but notice I still have a lot of water to the left and the right. If your tail comes all the way out here, that's fine, but I wanted you to know that it doesn't have to. All right, are we ready? All right, we can now start to erase a little bit. So I'm going to let you see what I just erased. My board is acting real stupid right now. So all I did was erased right in here in the line so that I could get rid of that and make it look more solid. Can you guys see that? All right, the next part we're gonna work on, I'm switching colors again just because my blue isn't working the way it should. Hopefully this red one will work. And the problem is that my board is dirty. All right, the tail feathers. Basically just zigzags. So it went up, down, up, down, up, down. Same thing on each side. This one, the feathers turned out a little closer to each other. This one's further apart. However they end up is fine. You don't even have to put those there if you don't want to. You can just do one complete tail, just like that. It's up to you. And then I'm going to erase this black line. So this is where you can erase your pencil mark. If your body for your swan is looking too small or too fat, this is where you, now Claudia can go in and make some edits because you actually have your swan body. So for me, I don't like how thin my neck is. So I'm just gonna come and make my neck a little bit thicker on both sides. Is there anyone who has something that does not look like two swan bodies? All right, that's a good thing. We're all good. All right. The next thing we're going to work on is the head. The head kind of has a bit of an oval shape to it. So you'll see I put kind of like what look like parentheses up here in red for the head. I'm going to do that on both sides. You want them to meet, or you can have one in the front and one in the back. Mine kind of overlap a little bit, but you can see that there are two heads there now. All right, I'm going to try to switch markers so that you can see what we're going to do on the mouth. Is everybody ready, or you need me to wait?
Can you go back over the mouth again? Go back over the head again.
All right, so if it's easier, remember when we were taking the drawing lesson, Claudia? If it's easier for you to just draw an oval and then erase it, then do that.
Okay. Yeah, that worked out.
Cheryl, you still with me?
I am.
All right.
But my head's kind of look a little funny.
Oh Lord, here you go with the funny stuff again. This is the time to fix it. Just erase. You can just erase it. We
I won't tell you what they look like.
We ain't got to. I was about to say we don't want them to look like male genitalia.
Well, it's too late.
All right, we're gonna do the beak. So that's why I said don't get caught up on it, because what we're about to do now is put 2 points. Those are the lips or the beaks. And then we're going to kind of come up, kind of like a skinny oval. That's going to be the beak and the eye. And then I'm just putting a little point in there. If you want to color this in, you can, so that you can see where the difference is. Now mine looks crazy again because I have that marker. But if I start to erase some of this red and make it a little bit more pointy, you can see that those are 2 beaks. And you would actually color this open part orange or yellow. All right, so I'm gonna transfer over to paper real quick so that it's not as murky looking. So give me just a second, all right? I'll show it to you in just a second. That's what you're going for on the face. You see that? That's kind of what you're going for on the head.
Okay, I had to step away. So what did I miss?
I just transferred from my board to paper so that you get a clearer version of what that head should look like in the face.
Mm.
So all I did was I went in and I did like a greater than, less than symbol on each side. Same little small ones, and then 2 little circles for the eyes.
I know, did you do that?
Huh?
Kaylee was telling me I had a rose in my background. I asked her, did she do that?
Oh, you didn't know you had a background.
No, I did not.
All right. Just take your pencil and kind of curve up so that you can put somewhat of a shadow on those heads. All right, let me go ahead and finish drawing my body. All right, so that's very similar to what you have. I'm just doing a real quick sketch so that I have a drawing. All right, and this one is too low for me. I don't like it. All right, we got 2 swans sitting on water. We good? Next part is easy. You figure out where you want your moon to be. Either this side or this side. Unless you want your moon right above them, but I have hearts on the center of mine. So pick the side. I would say pick the side that has the most space still left so you can put your the light from the moon in the water. So if your birds are kind of over this way, put your moon there. If they're centered, then you have a choice. And then right in the center, you draw as many hearts as you want. I start with the big one, and then I get smaller as I go up. You don't have to do multiple. You can just do 1 heart if you want to. It's up to you. And I'm just gonna throw my moon just in the sky. If you want a perfectly round moon, find a little small, maybe water bottle cap or something, put it on there and trace it. Otherwise, you can freehand it and try to clean it up as you're painting. We're not going to worry about trying to mask it off like we did with the oil pastels. All right. Time for show and tell. LaShawn, turn that camera on. Let me see what you have on canvas. Uh-oh, LaShawn went away. All right, hold yours up, LaShawn. Let's see. It's too much light. Okay. All right, so the only thing I would suggest, put it back down. Let me see. Did you already draw in marker or is that pencil? Is that marker or pencil, LaShawn? Marker? Okay, So yours is permanent. I was gonna suggest kind of bringing one of those tails out further. We may be able to stretch it out later. Show me yours. What's your baby's name again?
Carlisa.
Carlisa, yes. Show me yours. Beautiful. So the only thing is your both of your necks are just a little too skinny. So
Okay.
you guys must have started with marker. Is it a Sharpie or a regular marker?
A Sharpie.
Go grab a Q-tip and some alcohol. You have any alcohol?
We're in her we're in her new apartment, so we don't have any of that.
You don't have any sanitizer?
Yeah, we got sanitizer. Yeah.
Sanitizer and paper towel.
I just sent you mine via text.
All right,
Since
let me check.
I can't get that face right.
You can't get the face right?
Nope.
You need me to draw it bigger so you can see? Hold on,
Mhm.
let me see what you have first. It looks fine, Cheryl. I would just make the head a little bit bigger. So underneath,
Yeah.
erase that and just make it a little bit thicker. When I say thicker, make it thicker like this, because you don't want necessarily for the,
Paint.
you understand what I'm saying?
I think.
And then on the one of those has a really, really, really fat neck, like it ate something and it got stuck. You can leave it, but go down where it's close to the body. Go down there and erase that part and just connect it to the top of the back. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing on the other side. It's just where you guys left it too skinny at the bottom. Notice how thick my neck is right here close to my back. And if you look at this one, that neck actually sits right on the back.
Mm.
And I think if you do that, then you may feel a little bit better about it. Claudia, you ain't slick. Hold it up. Did you run away, Claudia? All I see are roses. I don't see anything. Did you hold it up, Claudia? Yeah, that background is not letting me see anything. It's working like almost like a green screen.
Yeah, let me see if I can take that off.
All right.
I'm like, I don't know what she did. Choose background. Let me take that off. Okay.
All right. So LaShawn, what you guys do is put a little bit of alcohol, sanitizer on the napkin and try to rub it off. Sharpie is alcohol soluble, so you should be able to clean up some of that Sharpie. But you don't want to over rub because then you'll take off the primer that's on the canvas.
Okay.
Just see if it's moving at all.
Okay, so here we go.
That looks good, Claudia.
Ooh, child.
That looks good from what I can tell.
Okay, let's.
All right, LaShawn, how is it coming off at all? All right. So once you get that off, just make the neck a little bit thicker. Because everybody did the same exact thing. You had it really skinny, but that was the easiest way for me to show you how to draw this because we all know how to draw the letter S. All right, now let's start talking about paint colors. And you guys will still be able to catch up, LaShawn. You should have at least 3 brush sizes. You should have one that's kind of thick. Again, it depends totally on the size of your canvas. The more space you have to paint, the thicker you want your bristle area. You don't want to try to paint a whole background with a brush this thin. All right. I would say no smaller than this one. This might be too thick if you don't have a lot of background. This one may be a little bit better. If you don't have that, then this would be the smallest that I would go. See, they're different sizes. All right. Now, if you'll take a look at the one that I did, I made my water more of a turquoise color, and my sky is more of a dark blue, kind of indigo, purplish blue. Because it's the moonlight, we do want the sky to be more of a dark color. Look at your paint, and I don't know what packs, what you have. Do you have like a turquoise? What color is that, LaShawn? What does the name say? What's the name of the color?
Ocean green.
Ocean green. So that works. If you want to use the ocean green, if it's too green, you can add a little drop of blue into it.
Wait a minute.
So what I want you to do, I want you to use either a paper plate, plastic plate, or a palette. Put a little bit down and then just rub it like in the water, brush it on the water and see if that's the color you want. And if not, then you can mix some colors together to kind of get what you want. All right, Claudia, what color do you have?
All I have is basic colors. So I got red, blue.
What blue? Is it like a phthalo blue, royal blue?
It's more royal, I would say.
Royal blue, okay. And you have a green?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you, can you hold your green up? Let me see how dark it is. All right, so on a palette or whatever, something you can mix on, I want you to use more green and mix a little bit of blue into it, and then add a little bit more blue according to the color you want. If it is too dark, add a little bit of white into it, and that goes for everybody. So if you want it to lift a little bit, just mix a little bit of white into it. And I actually want you to start with your water first because I want that dry so we can put the shine on it. The reflection from the moon. How's that color, LaShawn? Show me your canvas. Let me see what that color looks like. It looks like it might be pretty based on that brush. I want to see it on the canvas. Show me the canvas. Yep, I like that blue. That's pretty. So what you can do is you can go ahead and start painting. So let me show you. LaShawn, have you painted before?
No.
Okay, so let me show you how I want you to paint.
Okay.
I want you to pick the paint up on your brush, just like what you had. And I want you to push it into the canvas. So you're gonna push and stroke. Make sure you have enough paint. Push and stroke back and forth. Don't do little sketchy brushes like that, because what's gonna happen is when it dries, it's gonna show exactly what you painted. So watch, I'm going back and forth. I'm pushing it into my canvas, back and forth. You should not need any water. I'm using a little bit of water because I'm using paper, but on canvas, if you use water, it's gonna start to drip. You wanna keep it very opaque. If you get into an area where it's really narrow, just take your time. You may have to switch and use a smaller brush and go back and forth. pushing it into the canvas. Some paints, the body, when they say body, they mean the thickness and the amount of transparency or translucency in it. Sometimes paints are very thin, and so you may have to do more than one coat. But it looked like are you using Liquitex? What brand is that, LaShawn?
Master's Touch.
That should be pretty thick. Where'd you get that from?
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, that one should be pretty quality. If you
It's
use
going on good.
if you
Yeah.
use Michael's brand, their store brand, I don't like it. It's very thin, very watery. It's good for children, but I don't like painting with adults with that. What brand do you have, Claudia?
Oh, what is this? I got it from Walmart. So let's see. This is Go Create, so it could be probably not a good brand.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. And Cheryl, what are you using?
This one is Art Skills.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one either. Is it going on pretty thick or is it kind of thin?
It's going on how I put it on.
Okay, well, you paint all the time, so as long as you're comfortable with it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
You're about ready to start teaching these.
Nope.
Yeah.
So are we going back and forth, or are we just going in one direction?
I go back and forth because it pushes it into the surface. Now, if you don't want it opaque, like Cheryl has created her own artistic style as an artist. She does a very light touch. So you'll see streaks of white behind hers. Every painting I've seen, she has that. And that's fine. That's called stylism. She's got her own style, artistic styling. My styling, I like to mix in white. So let me show you what happens. I like the whole concept of blending. So while my paint is still wet, I'll take a little bit of white. And my brush is still dirty, I'm not gonna wet it. And I'll come right on top of what I painted. And it just kind of blends in. See how that kind of makes it look more realistic, kind of like it's water? That's just something that I do, but everybody's got their own style and technique. Some people love to outline with black. I like to do that when it's whimsical, but if I'm trying to make it realistic, I don't outline in black. And that's why I didn't have you guys draw with the Sharpie initially, because I wanted you to have the option of outlining if you wanted to. All right. With acrylic paint, because it dries so quickly, you want to stay on that same area before you go to your sky. You want to make sure that that is finished, because if you stop now and come back, especially if you're mixing colors, it's going to be hard to match those colors and even your brush stroke. And that's the thing about painting. The brush stroke will tell the story. So if you're real choppy, and it's gonna dry, however you paint, that's how it's gonna dry. So if you have smooth pushed in strokes, it's gonna be smooth. If at the end of it, once it's dry, you don't like how it dried, you can go back over it with a second coat. Try to keep your swans as clean as possible. They're not going to be white. While you're painting, I'm going to show you mine really close. My swans are not white. They have some beige and some gray in it. Typically, we think if we go white, it's going to look the whitest. normally you're gonna have to show some shadows and things like that to make it look whiter. So for example, when people are painting snow, they tend to mix purple and blue into it to make it look brighter. It's just, it's an illusion, a trick of the eye when it comes to paint. Uh-oh, we lost LaShawn. Okay, she's back. All right, when someone's done with the water, let me know and I'll start to help you with your sky color. And you don't have to rush, take your time. But I definitely would suggest you leave your swans to last. And I would do the moon last. The moon and the swan will be the last big things that I paint. And then I would go in with my highlights on the water. So if I have to leave before you guys finish, I will make sure that I show you how to do the highlight on the water and the feathers on the swan. Everything else, you're basically going to paint a solid color. And for those who are going to be up at 9 o'clock, I'll be painting a Valentine's Day tree on, I'll be live on Facebook under the Relax, Relate, Create page. So your sky, we want to go with, you can either go with the straight royal blue that's out of your tube, or you can mix just a hint of red in it, but it depends on what color red you have. If your red is an orangey red, you don't want to mix that with your blue. Just stick with the regular blue. But if you want to go with a purplish and you have like a vivid, like more of a cherry red, where it's a rich, deeper red versus an orange red, you can mix a little bit into that blue. Or if you have a fuchsia or hot pink, you can mix that into your blue and it'll make it more of a purplish color. So I'm gonna just use my blue right out of the tube. It should be dark enough where you can do that. If you're using the same brush, make sure you clean it really good. Put it in your water. And what I like to do, I just like to rub it around, maybe brush it against the side of my container. And then I have a paper towel or a sponge to just clean it and make sure I don't have any paint left on it and to soak up all that water because you don't want to put too much water. If your brush still looks a little bit blue or whatever, like this brush is totally clean, there's no paint on it, but it's been discolored over the years. It's okay if you still see some color for those who've never painted before. You're gonna do the same exact thing you did. Try to keep the same brush stroke. You're just gonna go back and forth on that sky, pushing that paint into your canvas or your surface. When you get close to your swan, just use the tip of the brush to kind of outline it. So let me show you. So what I just did was I went kind of around, see how I went around the edge of my swan? So now I can actually paint and move out. Wherever you can go back and forth, go back and forth. If we were doing more of an impressionistic type of painting, then we could do more stipples where it's kind of like just short strokes. Or if we were doing pointillism, that would be painting with dots. That'll be something that I'll probably do in one of the series, because that's fun to do. Now mine looks a little crazy because I'm painting on construction paper. But I just wanted to have a quick way to show you guys some techniques. If I was painting on canvas, I would try to make it more professional, and I don't have time. I don't have time to do that in a class that's only an hour. So you can see the slight contrast. It's not much of a contrast because blue and green are so close to each other, but it's different enough where you can tell that there's a sky versus water. It gets a little tricky when you get over by your hearts because those are tiny spaces. You can switch and use a smaller brush if that makes you more comfortable. Just don't leave any white around it because you're too afraid to get close to it. That's what most people do. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is what most people do. They paint around it, leaving all that white space. I need you to paint close to your heart. Don't leave white space. Even with your duck, your swan, get right to that line. Claudia, can you mute for me?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Now, for time's sake, I'm gonna let you guys do your heart on your own. I'm not gonna finish my sky. I want you to finish your sky, but I want to demo how to do these birds or the swans. Is there anybody almost finished with their sky? Nope. All right. Don't feel rushed. Like I said, I will post the video so you can go back and look at it and add your final touches. And the next time after February, when I do the painting sessions, I think I want to do them on like a Saturday so we can have 2 full hours instead of squeezing it into an hour. Cheryl, how much sky do you think you have left? 20, 50, 10%?
10.
10. What about you, LaShawn? What about you guys?
I got a little bit more.
Just a little? Okay, well, I'm gonna try to wait for you. Claudia, about how much do you think you have?
I would say maybe 20, 30%.
Okay. All right.
Don't wait for me.
Huh? Don't wait for
I
me.
said just go on.
Okay. All right.
I can move. I'll finish this and come this
Okay.
part and then
No
come back.
problem. All right, so take about 5 more minutes to work on your sky. You guys should be either finished with your sky or very close to it in the next 5 minutes. I'm also going to show you how to put a glow, like a halo around your moon.
Which one are we doing? Which one's darker?
All right, you can go back on mute.
Oh.
I just don't want any background conversations recorded by accident. All right, so just to kind of show you what's going on. I didn't realize I didn't have my camera down. I'm sorry, guys. So I got to get a document scanner or some type of webcam so that you guys can constantly see what I'm doing. All right, if you'll take a quick look over here by the moon, I'm just gonna paint kind of around it where it is still, I want it to be a little bit wet, but I don't want it to have like a circle, so I'm gonna kind of blend that out. I'm gonna pick up some of my white without cleaning my brush. And all I'm doing is pushing it into my plate to make it a lighter blue. And then I'm just gonna kind of circle around my moon just to give a little bit of a lightness. And then as the paint comes off, I just kind of go back and forth around that moon. You just want it slightly lighter. Can you see it? I don't know if you can tell, but it's just slightly lighter than the rest of your sky. Just kind of make it look like it's glowing a bit. But again, you don't want it to look like it's got a big Cheerio around it either. Can you see that? I know it's kind of shiny. All right, you should be able to see it a little bit better now. All right, once that moon halo is dry, then I can go back in with my white paint. All right. Now for the swans. All right. I want you to watch. I know you may not be there just yet, but just watch. I'm going to use a little bit of brown. I would tell you guys to use black, but black can be very, very, very potent. So if you're comfortable using black, make sure you only use like a toothpick amount. All right. Now the brand that I'm using actually came from, it's a low quality brand, but it came from Ross or Marshalls. I think it was Ross. It's not as, I like it better than I like Michael's, but I don't like it as much as I like Liquitex or Golden. But you can find some decently priced quality paint at Marshalls and Ross. So I have a little, just a little smidget of black on here. So I have a little bit of brown, a little bit of black, and my white from over here. I'm going to use a smaller brush. And I'm gonna mix a little bit of my white into my brown. And I'm just gonna come in and start to put just a little bit of shadow right where those feathers are gonna be. If you're comfortable mixing a little bit of black into it, all I did was right here where this brown was, I'm taking a little bit of black to make kind of a grayish color. See how that black just darkened it up really fast? So I'm gonna mix some more light brown into it because I don't want it black, I just kind of want it grayish. Kind of right down in here, a little bit lower than where that brown is. I just come in with a little bit of gray. And you can take those shadows over as far as you want for your feathers. Now, I'm gonna now pick up my white with a little bit larger brush. I don't wanna go too big on my brush, but I'm gonna pick that white up and I'm painting right on top of where I just put those darker colors. And you can see how it's smoothing out, making it more of a softer transition of color. You don't want the hard lines, you just want the hint of a shadow in there. Depending upon the quality of your paint, you may actually be able to cover some of the black lines, but usually if it's Sharpie, it's still gonna show through. So you can see even with that white paint on top of the shadow I put, you can still kind of see the hint of the feather. You guys see that? Those lines are not hard. And then I just paint the rest of my Swan white. I can always come in and mix in just a little hint of brown if I want to. Just to give it a little bit more, add some interest to it. And up against that green, anything white is gonna look white, even if it's a dirty white. All right, you would do the same thing on the other swan. Now up here with the neck, I would do the same thing, come in with my brown, my light brown mix, and then behind it, my grayish brown, where I mix that black in. And we just want to show where that neck separates from the head. Then I'm going to come in with my white and just kind of blend it out. Because that head is kind of over the neck a little bit, I can come in and put a little bit of a shadow right in here. That's what your gray is for. Anywhere you want to put kind of a shadow. Once you're done painting, if you still see black lines that you don't like, then you may want to just outline your entire painting. You may want to go back and just outline with the black Sharpie, but you've got to do it once it's dry. You can't do it while it's wet. All right, here's another quick little trick. Underneath the body of the bird, of the swan, you should see a little bit of a shadow in that water. So I'm going to go back to my green and add just a little hint of black to it, just to darken it up a little bit. And I'm just going to paint right underneath my duck. Just a little bit underneath, just to make it look like it's sitting on that water. Can you see that? Just going with a little bit of dark green where I mix some black and some green together. And I would do that underneath each. All right, let me hold this up so you can see it a little bit better. So you should be able to see a little bit of shadow underneath. You guys see that? All right. Your hearts, you can make pink, red, whatever color. I think red or really, really bright pink will pop with that blue. I'm not going to paint this swan. I'm going to go ahead and work on the eye and the mouth over here. So I'm going to go with a goldish orange color for the beak. You want to use your tiniest brush because that area is very small. So I'll be using this brush. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of gold and put it right in that little triangle where the beak is. It could be yellow, it could be orange, gold. Next, I'm going to use black. Just a little bit. I'm not even going to squirt it out. I'm just going to take my clean brush, touch inside the top, and I'm going to paint around that eye. I want to leave that eye so that I can come in and color or paint that in. I'm probably going to do a gray or a light blue. And you really don't even have to show that, but I'm a stickler for details at times. So that's what that eye and beak area will look like with that black and the gold. You see that, Claudia? Your facial expressions are hilarious to me. Hilarious. All right, I'm gonna mix a little bit of white and blue. And I'm gonna look for an even more pointy brush. Very tiny. I'm gonna mix some white with blue, make it really light. And I'm just gonna come in and color, put that little dot on his eye. And when I show you, you're barely gonna be able to see it, but you can kind of see where I put that blue. All right, last thing I'm gonna show you guys is gonna be the moon. So I'm coming in with my white paint. I didn't have enough left, so I need to put a little bit more. Use my medium-sized brush again, not too small, not too big. And I'm gonna come in with a really, 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 really light blue. So I'm mixing some white and some blue together. I want it to be like almost a powder blue. And I'm starting on the outside of my moon. Just going around in a circle. By having it kind of a light blue, it kind of fades into that lighter blue that you did before. So if your paint is still kind of wet, it'll blend. I'm going to pick up just a hint of darker blue so that I can kind of clean up around my moon. I'm just coming in with a little bit of darker blue, blending it in. Again, everything for me is about blending. Now I'm going to clean my brush and come right in the center with white and just kind of mix it and blend it all together. And you'll notice that that white is going to look even brighter now when you put it on that moon. But it'll have some undertones from the other blues. And it almost gives it an illusion of being a sphere, because you can kind of see that the darker colors behind it. To show your reflection in the water, you use that tiniest brush. Again, that little teeny tip of the brush. And you're gonna pick up some white. Now the swan, where he's positioned, doesn't really give me a lot of space because again, I drew kind of too big. But right below where that moon is where your highlight from the moon goes. The further away, the skinnier. So notice it stretches out long and then it gets skinnier as it goes further down. All right. So if you take a look at this one, that moon is right here. The highlight is right below. I chose to sign my name right there. I just thought it would look cool to have it blend into the zigzag of the highlight. And I actually put a few little strokes of white over on that side. If your ducks meet, your swans, if they meet, see how I did that grayish brown in the middle, just like I did underneath the necks, you would do that. If your swans are not touching, you don't have to worry about putting a shadow. But if they are touching, you want to make sure that you can separate where those bodies are, unless you want one to overlap in front of the other one. All right. So, are there any questions for me? All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video.